calm down before you stress up the groove. The energy a little different when the blessings accrue. Hey, who you talking to? Just know I ain't no regular fool. Could be anything in the world, but I can never be you. Because I ain't surprised at all. Seen them rise and fall. Went up the mountain, it wasn't hard to climb at all. At the top, I found some relief. I finally got some peace. Carry on, but please don't mess up the mood.
Welcome back to Time Out, powered by Evo 3 Sports. My name is Mike Houlihan.
And I'm Mark Thomas, and we are the co-hosts of Time Out. Last month, we actually spoke about, who we are as a company and really where the concept of the podcast came from. So, we're really excited to actually bring on a coach with a different viewpoint, but a similar philosophy regarding mentorship here. So today we have Alesia Bennett, formerly Vicari, going into her 7th season as the head volleyball coach at Brandeis University. So, Alesia, thank you so much for joining us. And also, congratulations on the first birthday of your daughter, Evie. It's got to be quite an experience so far.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. It's been crazy having a baby right when the whole country was shutting down and then managing a team on top of it, being at home. So lots of learning going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what's the status with the program right now? Are you on campus? Are you remote? What is that looking like for your team?
Yeah, so we actually just started our spring season last week. We're able to practice 5 times a week. We have individuals during the week, and then we have a team practice on the weekends. And that's just because of the girls' Zoom classes are all over the place with scheduling. So it's been fun to be back in the gym and then also balancing being a mother too. So.
Absolutely. And it's got to be, it's challenging for everyone. Absolutely. And I know, having a program myself that is on the court too, that balance of what's going on, even outside of the gym is making such a large impact inside the gym. So
we don't have to brag. We'll get there. Some
of us not exactly have our programs on campus. But so that being said, I actually wanted to start with your playing career. You were at Springfield College. You graduated in 2006, 2-time AVCA All-American, 2004 NUMAC Player of the Year. You have a fantastic playing career. So, that being said, what was it about Springfield College that, you gravitated towards and made you choose SC over anywhere else?
First and foremost, it was the athletic training program that drew me to Springfield. I attended a athletic training summer camp during my junior year of high school. And once I stepped foot on campus, I loved it. I loved the professors that I worked with at that camp. And then I was just like, well, maybe I can play volleyball here too. So then that's kind of when the recruiting process started. And I also love the spirit, mind, and body philosophy that's tied into Springfield. I really felt that is what I was looking for in my collegiate experience.
Awesome. Yeah, I know for myself, attending SC as a grad student, that spirit, mind, and body really is something that I bought into. The holistic method of taking care of your whole self. And that willingness to help others was something that was really large for me, and I know has a big emphasis at SC. And speaking about SC, the head coach that you played for is actually an AVCA Hall of Fame coach. Joel Deering, he has an incredible passion for the program, but, what was his impact for, in your career, both as a recruit and then actually playing for him?
Yeah. I remember the first time that Coach Deering came to watch me play with his Russian assistant and then also another assistant, Coach Lynch. We were up at AIC and it was a small gym, and I just remember his red hair, first of all, watching me play and me just kind of turning it on. And that kind of started the ball rolling in the recruiting process. But after I graduated, Coach looked at me and said, Alesia, you were a diamond in the rough. And, that just made me realize how much Coach pushed me every single day. And he coached me hard. I don't know if we can do that as much with our athletes now, but he challenged me every single day. And and I grew every single day at practice. And he is just such a mentor in my life right now for what he did for me in my 4 years.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. I've had only crossed over with Coach D a couple of times, but every time I got the opportunity to be with him, it's always been a great time and a great conversation. And I guess looking back at your career, what is that one or two things that you just took from Coach D and you applied to yourself after graduation? Do you have one of those two or three things that you think about all the time?
Mike, I wish I like had a notebook and I journaled and just remembered the timeouts or the conversations that we had in his office. I remember him asking a lot of questions in my collegiate experience, like, Alesia, why did you do this? Kind of trying to get into my head more about the decisions that I was making as a setter, but then also challenging me in the way for me to kind of like process things on a different level. And I think he does that with all his athletes. He really gets to know each athlete individually so he can coach them differently. And that's something that I have brought into all the programs that I've been at, really trying to build relationships, because then you're able to coach them better.
Absolutely. Coach Deering, for myself, I was his grad assistant his last season as a head coach. And so, you talk a lot about having that relationship with players. He also made sure that he had that relationship with us as his assistants. He made sure that he had that relationship with his students when he was in the classroom. He really went above and beyond. And he is the reason why I really make sure that I strive towards building those relationships as well. Having those one-on-one conversations with your athletes, having those one-on-one conversations with your coaching staff and just checking in with them and making sure that, they're doing okay. But I'd certainly ask more open-ended questions now to athletes and members in my program than I would ever have without his guidance. And because of that, I just think that it kind of expands everyone's volleyball IQ. But to your point, Alesia, you talk a lot about, building trust. And it's amazing what you can do with, when an athlete trusts you, how much further their game can advance.
Yep.
So I definitely resonate with that. So, everyone kind of has certain memories with their collegiate experience, and you being a collegiate athlete and having a decorated career. What are some of your fondest memories that you have, either on the court or off the court at Springfield?
Yeah, and being in Blake Arena, we had a great attendance. We called them the super fans. And just I remember looking up at the stands and just getting fueled by the atmosphere that was in Blake Arena. But then also, I think it was my junior year, we were a lower seed in the NUMAC championship. It was hosted by Coast Guard. We beat MIT, and Paul Dill was the coach then, and he still is now. And then we beat MIT, then we beat Coast Guard in 5 on Friday, and it was a big upset because we were the lower seed. And just the excitement going into the NCAA tournament that year. That's one of the memories. I wish I remembered more, but I remember like little plays and things, some conversations in timeouts. But it was one of those things that I really didn't know I wanted to be a coach until I graduated. I thought I wanted to be an athletic trainer. So I feel like I took some moments for granted.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we all kind of find those at a lot of times of what are those things that I should have been writing down, like you said earlier, and what are those scenarios and how did it play out at that point? And I think that's what built us, though, into the type of people we are today, where we do end up writing a lot more down than we ever have. So, All right, you walked across the stage. Congratulations. You're now moving on. All right, let's talk about your first big coaching opportunity that you got at Clarkson. Right, Clarkson, kind of up there. How'd you find it? What got you to Clarkson? I mean, I just want to be honest. I mean, it's up there. I mean, what were those draws?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mike. No. So Clarkson is it's 6 hours away from Boston. It is basically in Canada. It's an hour south of the border. I was at the time practicing massage therapy and retaking my athletic training exam because I had trouble passing my athletic training exam. Full disclosure, I have a learning disability, and it's something that has actually shaped me into the person I am now. That school was never easy for me. So I kind of had to reevaluate what I wanted to do with my life, and volleyball was always a huge part, and I missed it. So I was like, I saw the opening, and the boy that I was dating at the time actually was up there too. So we both went up, and I was like, you know what, I'll try it. And that's kind of what happened.
Well, fate has it, I guess. With that said, I mean,
Yeah.
so as you shift in to Clarkson College, you had an opportunity to work under another tremendous head coach with building program, things of that nature. But how would you describe the pressure you felt at that point, being out of the sport at some level for so many years and heading back into the coaching arena for the first time and being at Clarkson? Did you feel pressure? What was that pressure like?
Yeah, I actually didn't feel any pressure. I had some club coaching experience, and I had some camps under my belt, and I knew that I was going to be respected from my team from what I kind of did at Springfield. I hit it off with Coach Dolfer right off the bat in our interview, and we were very different in kind of our coaching style, our coaching philosophies, but we managed to get on the same page with things real fast. So
Awesome. So it's nice when you kind of have that ability to connect. But you know, everyone has their own philosophy with recruiting, and that's a big part of our responsibility as a coach in order to advance our program. So, you know, the Liberty League that you were a part of certainly has quite a range of talent, but also specifically academic expectations. So what was it like recruiting in that conference and to compete in that conference?
Yeah, primarily I was in charge of just kind of identifying some setters. But one of the challenging things about Clarkson was it was 2.5 hours away from an airport. So just trying to get kids physically to campus was challenging. And primarily they're an engineering and business school. So that kind of narrows down the type of student athlete we were also looking for. So once we got onto campus, it was a pretty good sell because there was Division I hockey, which is a lot different than other Division III schools. So we would take them to a hockey game, and it was a great atmosphere. So I recruited one of their first All-Americans at Clarkson, and she really did some good things as a setter there. So
I remember she saw a lot of Elite Eights, if I remember correctly.
Yes, a lot.
Yes, ingrained in all of our brains.
Yeah.
So hats off to you on that one. But so with your time with Johan, what were some of the big things that really stood out to you? Has he really kind of joined you as a mentor? Do you co-mentor each other now? Do you still have a close relationship that allows you both to kind of continue growing?
Yes. You know, he comes from Division II and Division I coaching experiences. So he's very objective. And I think he's very tactile in his coaching. He likes breaking down mechanics, and I feel like I was more, you know, kind of like passion, feeling, we just got to do this, we got to work hard. So I learned more about the X's and O's of volleyball from him, that we continue to chat about now that he's at Ithaca. He's been back to the Final Four and Elite Eight. And he has had some, you know, continues to have some great teams at Ithaca. So yes, we continue to talk volley, and he has 2 children now. So that's something now that I can ask him about how to be a parent and a coach at the same time.
Certainly. Well, it's almost like a yin and yang. And typically that type of coaching staff does click really well together. If someone has greater strengths in one aspect than someone else, and you're able to find a way to get on the same page, that's a really strong coaching staff. But also, you know, us as coaches, I've always been a big believer in you have to have an understanding that you don't know it all. And if
Yep.
you are willing to embrace that mentality and keep an open mind, learning new concepts and trying to be a student of the game, that's what it's all about, and that's how we get better. So that's phenomenal that you were able to have that type of experience up there. So at that point you transition over to Simmons, if I recall correctly, right? So it's
Yep.
your
Yep.
first head coaching position. During your time there, you were an AVCA 30 under 30 award recipient, GNAC Coach of the Year at one point, and that's, I mean, again, able to transition going from a strong assistant role into doing some great things over at Simmons. So that being said, Simmons is an all women's college, and so I know I asked you about some unique challenges with Clarkson before, but what was it like being now in the heart of Boston in an all women's college?
Yep. Simmons, I think, was a great place to sink my teeth into being a head coach and having my own program. I definitely made mistakes my first year, but I had a great athletic administration that would help guide me and mentor me in that aspect. The College of the Fens, we were surrounded by a couple other schools. So I think being able to sell that to young females was great, that you're not always going to class with all females, that you can cross-register at other classes.
Right.
And definitely they are known for their nursing program. So I really just learned more about that, and then just reached out to other females that were, interested in nursing, and the location sells itself, especially now. They have really built up the Fenway area since I was at Simmons. So
Yeah, you had a great opportunity to jump into that. And I think, to me, one of the reasons I say that is because it is so different, right? You've been to a school like Springfield, and then you moved on to Clarkson. Again, very different in a lot of different ways. And now Simmons, very different in a lot of different ways. If you were to take all these three experiences and looking at the job that you have now at Brandeis, right? How did these three jobs really kind of set you on the right path to have the success that you've had at Brandeis, and recruiting as well as on the court and maybe off the court?
Yeah, great question, Mike. So I think Simmons really taught me that I could recruit anywhere, because recruiting is a huge part at Brandeis. And we do have some challenges just because it is such a high academic school that we're, competing against the Ivy, the NESCAC, some NUMAC schools, but then mostly other UAA schools. So I kind of think back to when I was at Simmons, that if I can recruit at an all-girls institution, I can do this at Brandeis. And then also at Clarkson, being the location and kind of the draw of the engineering student. So
That's awesome. No, and it's been nice to be able to, from what you're saying at least, how you take little bits and pieces from every place, and you kind of put it into like what is your essentially like your coaching tool belt, right? And being able to utilize the strengths of different places, but having some similarities along those lines, and then transitioning into, utilizing that in your program now. So.
Yeah, I love it. I think you built up some great experience at very unique universities and colleges that I think really kind of got you. But before we dive fully into Brandeis, right? Tell us a little bit about you got the 2014 Connecticut Scholastic Women's Volleyball Hall of Fame inductee. That had to have been awesome. Like, next level at some level.
Sure.
Like, it's probably what everyone dreams of at especially at the high school level, and then you're moving on in the sports anyway. Can you tell us about that experience and what it has meant to you?
Yeah, I think just having my name next to other players and coaches that have been inducted in Connecticut. I was recognized as a player, playing club and going to high school at Connecticut. But then also kind of something that is really special to me is my mom is also an inductee.
That's awesome.
So to be able to, go to the dinners and to sit at tables with other strong females that are in coaching or was in coaching just really means a lot and keeps me grounded in what I'm doing. So
Such an amazing experience. Congratulations on that. And
Absolutely, yeah, that's phenomenal.
congratulations to your mother. That must be so
thank
great to
you.
be next to each other.
Mhm.
All right, so shifting into Brandeis, right? You've been there since 2014, so it's about 7 years. I don't know how to count seasons anymore
Mhm.
because when was the
Yeah.
last time we had one? I
I
don't
know,
know.
Yeah.
right?
But with that said, 2018 coaching staff of the year, and we've played Brandeis before you got there for a long time, and the improvement obviously and the competition that you now bring as a program to everybody in this region is incredible, right? Getting all Americans, and hats off to you because it seems like you have built them up very quick, right?
Thank
What,
you, Mike.
of course. What is it like though with a conference schedule the way it is? Can you tell everybody what it's like in terms of being in the UAA, and what does that mean in the volleyball world, and how does it feel on an everyday basis?
Yeah. People talk about the UAA, but I don't think you really understand the level until you're present in one of our round robins,
Mm.
where you're able to see all three courts playing at the same time, and just numerous division 1 athletes that they could have gone division 1,
Yeah.
defending national champs, having Emory, Wash U, nationally ranked teams with Carnegie, Case, and U Chicago too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very eye opening my first couple years. And I think, the scheduling aspect has been challenging just because we need to make sure that we have teams on our schedule that's going to challenge us to perform and get ready for our conference play. So I've always believed that in order to be a great team, you need to play great teams. So my schedule that we compete with is never easy. And sometimes my players look at me and they're like, "Coach, really? Like we have Bowdoin, Amherst, and Middlebury in 3 days, or UMass Boston and Coast Guard." But it's something that they know about me, that if you come to Brandeis, you're going to be challenged every single day, whether that's on the volleyball court, but then also academically.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've always found that the development of life skills on and off the court as a solid tool to keep our athletes invested, but also just committed day in and day out. What does that look like for you at times? Do you have a very similar mindset where you try to talk about some things that you're doing on the court with what they're going to be doing when they graduate? Does that have any impact, I guess, in your program?
yeah, one of my favorite quotes, Mark, is how you play and why you play will make a difference in your life forever.
I love that. Yeah.
So, really thinking about giving your all on the volleyball court, and then that will teach you to give your all in all aspects of your life, whether that's in the classroom or whether that's with your relationships. That everything has meaning. So I have a lot of conversations about that with my team, and they push themselves to all limits, especially with the academics at Brandeis. And it's challenging because they are pushed all the time. And I usually don't get all of them, at practice at the same time because of the girls' class schedules. So it's a balance of making sure that they're taking care of themselves too.
No, yeah, you have to, and that's what it is. It's about that balance, and that's the D3 life that you kind of chose. And
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of coaches do have the ability to shift upward and everything, but sometimes it's this balance that allows us to have the biggest impact on individuals moving forward, and I love it. Shifting back over to the court, so now you've gone from all these schools in the Northeast. Now you're in Brandeis, right? Who, yes, they're in the Northeast, but with that said, they're national. They're on that national schedule that you have to do those round robins every week. Looking back, is there anything significant coaching wise? Not maybe the culture, not that, but more of a physical, fundamental thing that you had to change in your program and you didn't realize it until you hit this type of schedule on a year in and year out basis?
That's a good question. I think I have to ask more questions about how the girls are doing with their academic schedules. You know, when is midterms hitting? That usually falls around our round robin too. So making sure that we have time in our hotel rooms or at the airport so our players can, you know, open up their laptops and do some work. Because I know if they're stressed about their academics, they're not going to be able to be focused when we're playing a defending national champion for our conference schedule. So I think I have to ask more questions about, you know, how they're doing in their classes.
Definitely. With stronger academics, it really makes such a large impact. And again, Division III philosophy is student comes first, right? And so, you know, making sure that we are checking in with them consistently, making sure that they're doing okay in classes. And to your point, it is so so easy for any athlete that if they're struggling in a class, even just a project, one assignment can make an impact into how they're walking into your gym, whether we want to admit it or not. And so I certainly gravitate towards that concept as well with my position too. So, you know, we're wrapping things up here. So we always like to end with, you know, the biggest influencers that you have in your coaching career. So, you know, who would those be for you and why?
You know, Coach Deering, Johan Dolfer have always been big influences in my professional life. And then Cora Thompson at Tufts, we actually have become great friends. She was at Tufts when I was a player, and now I get to learn from her from camps. But she is a tremendous inspiration to me, what she does every day at Tufts. Aileen Ilkson, who is at George Mason, who actually was a former teammate of mine. I love being able to shoot her some video of recruits, and she kind of takes a look at and tells me what she thinks about them.
Right.
Emory, Jenny McDowell, and Wash U, Vanessa Wolby. They're other coaches in our conference, and I love being able to hear their timeouts because we get to watch our opponents play, see how they're recruiting and what they're doing with their teams. And just so lucky to be able to, you know, see them on our round robins and ask questions to how they do things. And then my mom, she was my high school volleyball coach, and I continue just to bounce ideas off of her and ask her questions about how she did things. So.
No, we love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we can't thank you enough.
You taking the time to speak with us. We loved hearing about your thoughts and your experiences and how you built them together to almost become the coach that you are. So thank you for this.
Yeah, this was fantastic, Alesia. We can't thank you enough. You know, just for being able to share your story. Again, we learn through other people's stories as well, and so I know that this is going to make an impact for the listeners that we have, and again, can't say enough great things about Alesia Bennett. Even just as a friend, has been someone that we constantly talk shop with on a pretty consistent basis as well. So we can't thank you enough just for joining us today.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for having me.
All right.
Thank you for everyone for taking your time to listen. If you want to check out more media by Time Out and Evo3 Sports, check out our website, evo3sports.com. That's EVO, the number 3, sports.com. Also check out our social media accounts at Evo3 Sports on Instagram and Facebook.